great to have you here today. I do want to have a special welcome. I do want to welcome my long-term friend, Bruce Chamberlain, who is here. I will. Okay, so Bruce, believe it or not, was my college orientation leader. Bruce, I'm sorry I'm going to do this. In 1983. So we have known each other for over 30 years now. And we both are proud graduates of Gettysburg College.
Wow.
Do that, just kidding.
Okay, so as Reverend Tony said, my talk for today is Jesus is coming, so put down your toys and be the miracle worker you were meant to be. Now, some of you may realize there's a little bit of tongue-in-cheek in my title, because you may have heard the expression before that Jesus is coming, look busy. But the Course of Miracles actually doesn't really talk about looking busy and if Jesus is coming from that perspective, right? Actually, what the Course of Miracles says is a lot of times our busyness is a way to distract ourselves. It's a way to distract ourselves from what's going on inside of us, because a lot of us, we have a tendency to not want to look what's inside. And what the Course of Miracles says even further is that we created this, in a lot of ways, this amazing world with all kinds of things to do to distract us from the inside. And so oftentimes actually, going inside is the most challenging thing. So the talk for what I want to talk about today then is really that Jesus and the Holy Spirit, they're both symbols in our mind, are really present in our minds at all times. It's just when we want to access that we do it. When we have the willingness to go inside and ask Spirit, ask love to guide us to a different perception. Now, there is a Course in Miracles says this: your godlike mind can never be defiled. The ego never was, and it never will be part of it. So for me, that's kind of a very comforting thought. And it's something that we can always come back to. So it's very hopeful. So always remember this, that no matter what seems to be going on in our external life, no matter how busy it seems to be, our financial challenges, our relationship challenges, our work challenges, no matter how significant they may seem to be, that there is that part of our mind that we can always access. That is our reality. That is peace, and that is truth. Now, as you know, I did refer to toys in my title today. The Course in Miracles actually has a whole section where it talks about toys. Here's one quote: "The wearying, dissatisfying gods you made up are blown-up children toys." Let me say that again. The wearying, dissatisfying gods you made are blown-up children's toys. So what Jesus and the Holy Spirit is saying is that, remember, they can look at our lives from above the battlefield, right? Above the perspective. They know our reality. They know that we are one. They know that we're eternal. They know that we are love. And yet we've created this world with really what they call as toys. They're, in a way, tongue-in-cheek, kind of chiding us a little bit. We get upset by many things. Just think about it. I'll give you an example. I was actually writing my talk yesterday morning, and I was at a laundromat, and the laundromat that I go to, it has a coffee shop in it. And it was early in the morning. It was, literally speaking, it was 8:15 in the morning, right? I get props for doing my laundry at 8:15 in the morning. And so I'm doing my talk, and I need to go and check in my clothes. Now, this is what I've done, right? I go into the laundromat and I scope it out. There's only one guy in there, and he's the worker there that's doing the laundry that people drop off. And I think to myself, okay, I'm going to find the spot in the laundromat where nobody is, right? And I go to the far corner and I find my machine, and in that laundromat they name the machines. And the name of my machine was Charlene. So Charlene is going to do my weekly wash. Okay? And I'm thinking, this is great. There's nobody around. Okay, I can do it. So I put my wash in, come back, go out, start writing my talk. After about 20 minutes, I figure, I better go back in and check it. So I go back in and check it. And don't you know, there's this whole huge laundromat, and the other 3 people that have come into the laundromat have decided to do their laundry in the same area that I have chosen. And my first thought is, these stupid people. What am I doing? Right here I am talking, doing my talk on attack, and that's exactly what I do. And so, the Course in Miracles, the same section in the Course in Miracles says this. Listen to this. The rules we have made for boxes and bears have failed him and have broken his control of what surrounds him. Now he must learn the boxes and the bears did not deceive him, broke no rules, nor mean his world is made chaotic and unsafe. So you see, I went into the laundromat. I had rules made up. Everybody was to follow my rules, right? I thought they would be smart enough to say, oh, there's washes being done in this section, I'll go in that section so that other person has room. But they didn't follow my rules. Now, of course, this is just a little example. Let's think of things that we hold more serious. How many toys, or also what the Course says as illusions, do we really have these special rules around? We know from the Course calls them our special love relationships. Right? Our special love relationships are those close, intimate relationships that we choose, that we have, where we try to get our needs met with just a few or maybe one person. They also talk about our special hate relationships. Those relationships which are enemies. We perceive our enemies. Maybe they're personal enemies, maybe they're ideological enemies. Of course, we see this on a national scale. Think about it. Think about the nation states. Think about the world. Every country in this world has an enemy, and the reason for it is for this. Okay, it's because we have illusions. We perceive their interests as separate from our own. What other toys do we have in this world? Money. Is money not a big toy? Look at the current political issue going on. But then look at what the number one issue is of people in relationships. One of the highest issue is money. Our status, our bodies, or other people's bodies. So, this is oftentimes what happens. So what we oftentimes do then, one of the bigger toys that we use in the world is just what I had given as an example in my reference to the laundromat, even though that was kind of a lighthearted example, is this desire we seem to have. Our egos go right to it. As soon as we feel threatened, we need to attack. And we feel this propensity to attack. And I have to be honest with you that one of the things I thought about was what happened with Reverend Tony recently regarding his talk that he gave in Las Vegas. Now, some of you in here know some of the nature of the talk and some of you do not. But what I will say about the talk is that he gave it at a conference. It was a very provocative talk. Reverend Tony removed some articles of clothing. He did a little skit with Reverend Roxy, and it was controversial. And what I perceived happened is some people really enjoyed it and had a healing experience through it. But then I also saw what I perceived to see a lot of people attacking him for his actions, for his talk. Actually, it was a part of the presentation. And I thought to myself, geez, I wonder what why A Course in Miracles students would respond that way, because Course in Miracles students, we're kind of taught to be aware of our attack thoughts. Mm-hmm. And as I said, one of the basic principles of A Course in Miracles is that we are always, this is what I'm talking about in the Course in Miracles, the miracle worker. The miracle takes place in your mind, folks. Okay? The miracle means you go within. And what it says is we're either doing one of two things. We're either projecting, and whenever we're projecting, that's always coming from the ego. And that means we're projecting thoughts of fear, anxiety, guilt, attack. Or we're extending love. So extending love can mean kindness, can mean gentleness, can be support. It can even be forgiveness, right? We're extending one or the other. We're always doing one of those two things. And so what struck me as I encountered some of the folks who had this opposition to Reverend Tony, it just made me go back. That's why I wanted to look at this again. The title of the reading that Reverend Vincent did for us today was The Relinquishment of Attack. And I thought to myself, well, that's what we're supposed to do. When I was a little kid growing up in New Jersey, in the summertime there would be these little bugs that would fly around. They were called lightning bugs. Okay, and in the summertime it got really warm. We as little kids, what we used to do is we used to go around and try to capture the little lightning bugs. Of course, our parents told us, it was okay to capture them. We just had to let them go, right? And I was thinking, that's kind of what we're supposed to do with our attack thoughts. We're really not supposed to, as much as we possibly can, if we want to be true miracle workers, is we're really not supposed to attack other people as much as we possibly can. We're supposed to catch, like the lightning bug, we're supposed to catch those attack thoughts. And you know what the Course in Miracles says? It then says we're supposed to look at those attack thoughts and say, why is it that I feel the need to attack? And that is the essence of A Course in Miracles. Jesus says, let me shine the light on your darkness. It's not about the other person, folks. It is never, ever about the other person. Remember what A Course in Miracles teaches. There's only one of us. Yes, this great, what the Native Americans called the great mystery, what the Course in Miracles calls the grand projection, is out there. But there's only spirit and the ego. And the ego always wants us to find the other person wrong. The ego always wants us to attack, to be in fear. The ego always wants us to blame the other person. In truth, regardless of what happens to us, and this is really hard, regardless of the types of attacks that we can sometimes feel upon ourselves, and all of us have had this. We've been in relationships where we've been abandoned. We've been in relationships where people we feel have harmed us to a great degree, and so on and so forth. But the Course in Miracles is not about judging that behavior. The Course in Miracles is really about going within. This is what A Course in Miracles says. The only safety lies in extending the Holy Spirit, because as you see His gentleness in others, your own mind perceives itself as totally harmless. So you see, as we perceive others, that's how we heal ourselves. That's how we forgive ourselves. So Jesus and Holy Spirit are they're very clever in a way. They're telling us that you will feel better if you listen to what we tell you to do. If you, instead of defending and not attacking, if you will forgive, you'll feel better. Your life will be easier, right? It's just basic reward. It's a basic reward. We believe that by holding on to our attacks and our grievances, and the way in which the world ought to be, that we'll be safe. Now this is challenging, right? All right, now let's think about, all right, I'll just get a little political here for a minute. You know, and I've talked about this several times. It seems like every time I talk about Donald Trump, you know, and we perceive now Donald Trump, it looks like he's going to be the presidential candidate of the major political party in the United States. And, you know, the United States is a big deal. It's a big country in the world. We're powerful, you know. And I can look at that situation and I can say, wow, if this guy becomes president, you know, it could wreak havoc over our world. And I get really concerned about that. But you know what, folks? The truth of the matter is, whether Donald Trump or Bernie Sanders or Hillary Clinton or whoever becomes president, that doesn't matter. It is not going to matter in terms of our peace of mind. It's not going to matter in terms of our salvation. Now, does that mean that we can't have preferences? Absolutely not. We can have preferences. And we can go in and we can search for Spirit and ask for guidance about how to do all kinds of things in the world and extending love. But we, again, cannot expect the political system or the economic system or any of those external things to provide us with the peace we think they can provide us with. It doesn't matter how big your bank account is. Okay, Donald? All right. It really doesn't, because you know what? If you know any people that are wealthy, not all people that are wealthy, but some people that are wealthy that I know of, what do? They worry about losing their money. They worry about losing their billions or their millions. A lot of them do. Some of them actually feel guilty about that. Some of them feel guilty, like, why is it that I have these billions of dollars and yet there's homeless people on the street? And remember what A Course in Miracles says. There is no hierarchy of illusions. It doesn't matter if I walk down the street and someone bumps into me or I have a bankruptcy. That's what A Course in Miracles says, because it's all an illusion. So anything that disturbs our peace of mind, any toy that we have made of the world, in the world, that we expect to meet our needs and satisfy us, is going to disappoint us. And that's the truth of the world. I'll end with this quote. It's a great quote. I love this. As you come closer to a brother, you approach me. And as you withdraw from him, wait, let me read that again. As you come closer to a brother, you approach me. And as you withdraw from him, you withdraw from me. I become distant to you. Salvation is a collaborative venture. So folks, when we are in conflict with our brothers or sisters, the rule is not to distance yourself from them in your mind. In your mind. The rule is to stay in communication with them and with Spirit. Now, that doesn't mean that sometimes we don't have to take a break or that we have to remove ourselves from an abusive situation. But in our minds, we keep them and see them as Spirit and let Holy Spirit work through us to heal that situation. But by taking on the toys and attacking them and doing the silent scorn or all the other things that we do with them is not really the way of A Course in Miracles. The truly helpful as God's miracle workers, whom I direct until we are all united in the joy of the kingdom. So if we want to achieve our union with Spirit, if we want to live as love in the world, and if we want to be true miracle workers, then we embrace all of the experiences in our lives. We let go of the childish ways of being a person, and we accept our role as miracle workers in collaboration with our brothers and sisters, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. And that's my talk for today.